Hello everybody, welcome back to Space Engineers. We're going over some more designs today. The first design we have here is the shuttle, the Awibo class shuttle. It's named after the bird of the same name, the Awibo. This is due to my design principle of if it's ugly and it's a transport, I name it after an ugly bird. My previous dropship design being the shoebill as seen in the last video. The Awibo, as you can see, is sort of based off the Lambda class shuttle. It fulfills the same purpose of transporting troops. It runs on 4 of these engines either side for forward propulsion, repulsor lifts for up and down, and repulsor lifts for turning. This is just to simplify it on me. It has a hinged back door that can rotate to close and rotate to open. And even if, say, you're locked outside, or want to park it but don't want to have the door wide open, smack myself upside the head there for a second, there's a button in the back to allow you in. Let's close that up. It has room for 8 passengers and 1 pilot. 4 seats in the back here, 4 seats in the front. This button here is to lock the hinges on the back, so then the door will not open. It will not open or close as long as the hinge lock is on. Do the pilot seat here. This was my second ever attempt at making a design with folding wings. It's purely aesthetic, but I really like the idea of folding wings, so I built it on here. Maneuverability-wise, it's pretty alright. It's as maneuverable as you could imagine a dropship would be. It does have a couple of things I need to fix on it, such as the wings need a automatic hinge lock. I just have to set that up. Otherwise, though, it has retractable landing gear and 2 nose-mounted blasters. Other than that, it has a decent amount of shielding on it and a decent amount of power generation as to allow this thing to operate independently from other craft. Right now the gravity's wonky because one of the other nearby ships we'll be showing off has a gravity generator. Other than that, though, that was the Awibo class shuttle. Let's move on to the next one. The next design we have here is the LF-21 Locust. The LF standing for Light Fighter-21. Similar to the Awibo, it has folding wings, albeit this one has wing locks, but they're not automatic. This is for ease of storage inside of a carrier that will be shown in a later video. Its maneuverability is fine. It has the, as stated before, it has the hinge locks, which will allow for the wings to stay stagnant when you're in transport, even when the power's off. Its maneuverability is fine, as stated. No real issues. It's not as maneuverable as something like a snub fighters I've built in the past, but for its purposes, it is fine. Just graze a nearby ship just a little bit. Why not? Am I missing any bits from that? Doesn't look like it. It has very light shielding to it, as you're meant to send these out in waves of like 4, so you have to take down 4 of them. You can see there's a tug drone headed this way, but I'm not going to challenge it unless it comes toward us. Its weapons complement consists of 2 medium lasers and 2 light lasers. Unfortunately for the inset nose lasers there, you have to hit the button every time you want to shoot, versus the wing cannons where you can hold mouse button. But that also does mean you can fire both at once, as long as your power lasts. It comes with a folding set of landing gear on the back that just folds out. It's 2 feet. It holds it up for the most part, although I wouldn't try it on a planet, as this thing also does not have any atmospheric thrusters. It works on 2 of these armored tier thrusters for forward lift, 2 of them on the bottom, 2 of them on the top, and then it has some repulsor lifts for assists in turning and also additional forward momentum. It also has propulsor lifts inside the engine nacelles there as a brake. Other than that, though, that was the LF21, excuse me. Let's move on to the next design. This is our next design, the Scrapper Corvette. It was built as a concept, both for me testing out new ideas and also to give myself a fairly cheap Corvette, as it were. Its armament is not the best out of any of the ships I have, but it's serviceable. On the front chin, we have a twin laser cannon, and the rear, on a little barbette stand, is another twin laser cannon, allowing both to fire forward. Only this one can fire back, but they can both fire forward in case the enemy's in front of them. Moving up. On the top deck, we have 2 single laser cannons on either side, along with a single turbo laser facing to either side. Then on the front, we have a light turbo laser battery, which is basically these, but a little heavier, on a twin mount on the front, on the top, on another barbette system. This one's barbetted just so that it can see further over the front of the cockpit, so then when it's aiming down, it can aim down a little bit further without being interrupted by the armor. And that is all the weapons. Let's move on to the next stuff. It's run by 2 smaller armor tier engines and 1 large armor tier engine, 2 turning thrusters on either side of this round configuration, 2 upward thrusters of that configuration, and 2 downward ones of this configuration. It works fairly well for the size of the craft. Heading inside, we have a gravity generator that allows us to just stand inside the craft. Has doors either side, and then it has a door back here into the main room that contains gyroscopes, batteries, and shield generators. Also reactors, but I'm not sure that's off, to allow for independence of the rest of the fleet. The front cockpit here is pretty spacious, allows you to move around a decent chunk. Maneuverability for a Corvette is pretty middling. It's not terrible. Just gonna face it this way in case that tug truck decides to get a little too close. It comes with an antenna for ease of location during, say, land hits, or if you leave your ship for any period of time, you have an antenna to find your way back to the ship. Most people would use a beacon, as antennas use more power, but I don't. Other than that, though, that is the Scrapper class. Let's move on to the last one. As stated, this is the last one for today. This is the Drakkar class Corvette. This one is more heavily armed than the Scrapper that is next to us, but it is not quite to the tier of a destroyer. It comes with 2 of those twin turbo laser batteries on top, and another 2 on the bottom, frontal facing, on barbettes to allow them to fire over each other. This gives you a lot of firepower from the front. Moving on down the hull, on the back of the barbette we have a twin laser cannon to provide cover to the rear of the craft, and on the bottom we have another twin laser cannon for defense of the rear as well. I was debating putting another one here, but then I saw the power consumption was a little too high, so I reduced it. It runs on 2 of these large-scale armored engines for forward momentum, 2 on either side for left and right, and 2 of these on either side for braking purposes. And on top, it has 4 downward thrusters. So this one will move a lot faster downward than it will certain directions. On the bottom here, we have another 2 on the bottom of either to allow for upward thrust. Now let's go to the interior. Oh, and it also has an antenna for, again, ease of finding it in case you leave the ship. This one only has a door on one side to allow for the reactor room. The reactor room is behind this wall I've put here, just beyond this gravity generator. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense from survival perspectives to have it there, but since I'm just building these in creative and only using them for creative reasons, I have it covered up. Because you don't really need access to any of that when you don't have failures or anything like that. The cockpit still is fairly spacious to allow for ease of movement in the cockpit. Overall ship maneuverability is pretty decent for Corvette. It's able to rotate at a fairly decent speed. Does not have atmospheric thrusters again. I don't really design stuff that has atmospheric thrusters, as I try to keep my world separate from planets, as IMO planets cause a decent chunk of lag. Its forward momentum is very good due to those two massive engines. And it can turn alright. I've found its armament to be fairly potent, at least against lighter ships. That's what I've been mainly using. Testing armament on while my ships are generally heavily armed. Alright, park this. Okay. Other than that, though, these were the 4 ships I have made recently. There'll be more ships in the future that I haven't shown off yet. I'm going to do 4 ships per video of the designs I've made, whether they be ships, rovers, or other. In this case, it's mainly going to be warships, as that's what I like to design the most with these Star Wars weapons. If you want to get these Star Wars weapons, I will leave a little box on the screen about now. That'll show you the name and workshop page of the items required to use the Star Wars weapons. For the rest, you can... for the rest, I'll put them in the description for ease of access. But otherwise, that'll be all the ships. As a quick aside, the Drakkar is actually up on the Steam Workshop. I'll have that on the screen right now, where you can download this one yourself, and it will have all of the mods you need to make it. Again, it's not built for survival. It's a creative ship, made for creative stuff, such as just like movie making, or just you know, fiddling about with ships. Other than that, though, that'll be all for today. I hope to see you all soon in the next one. Have a good one.